This evening, CARICOM works towards a single market economy. Prime Minister of St. Vincent calls for a restructuring of the West Indies Cricket Board. Love it or hate it, parking meters are still a go in the city, but with minor changes. In the region, in St. Lucia, Prime Minister refuses funding from Venezuela. And internationally, former Prime Minister of England seeks to change Britain's mind on Brexit. Also, in this week's beautiful Guyana, join us on a trip across the Demerara River.
From Safe TV headquarters in South Rival Gardens, this is Safe TV Headline News with George Gonzalez.
Headline News is now being streamed live on our YouTube channel, as well as our website, safetvguyana.com. Join us. The 15 heads of government of CARICOM renewed their commitment to work towards the realization of the CARICOM single market and economy. This was the news coming from the chairman of the Caribbean Community, President David Granger. Andrew Weeks is at the Marriott Hotel covering the 28th intersessional meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government and filed this report.
Because we are living in an environment of economic turmoil. Many of our commodities and services have seen depressed prices in the national market over the last 2 years or so, and we would like to ensure that the Caribbean single market economy is put on a sounder footing as quickly as possible.
Chairman of CARICOM and President of Guyana, David Granger, speaking moments after a caucus was held on Thursday evening, day one of the 28th intersessional meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government being held at the Marriott Hotel. Mr. Granger said, "We are one community. We feel the faster we move towards CSME, the better for all of us." Granger also explained that there is of concern for food security.
We pointed out that the three mainland countries, Belize, Guyana, and Suriname, have a huge land area, bigger than Germany, and we feel that food security is not a dream. We could achieve food security by producing all of the commodities that are needed on a day-to-day basis by the countries in the, which don't have so much land space. The island, particularly the island states, some of which are quite small, but we are one community, and we feel that the quicker we move towards that single market economy, the better for all of us. But food security, security from crime, and also the protection of our environment, and of course the economic security, which will come to us through the single market economy, are all important considerations.
The CARICOM heads also discussed the issue of corresponding banking, which CARICOM has made little progress in addressing. Here's Granger once again.
Yes, this has been a matter of concern for several years, and the Caribbean will be taking a joint or collective approach to it. The whole question of de-risking has hurt some of the Caribbean economies, some more than others. It's quite unfair because there has been not a single case in which any jurisdiction or any bank or any banking institution has been shown to have been involved in money laundering or any form of financial impropriety. So the entire approach has been very baffling, and the Prime Minister of Antigua and Barbuda particularly has been a lead spokesman on de-risking.
It was CARICOM Secretary General Erwin LaRocque, hours before the opening of the intersessional meeting, told the media that the community has been able to engage international financial institutions such as the World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, the Inter-American Development Bank, and other institutions. But the response from those institutions, according to LaRocque, is a waiting game before CARICOM can benefit. Andrew Weeks, Channel 2, Headline News.
Thanks, Andrew. Today, representatives of City Hall and Smart City Solutions held a joint press conference on parking meters. Here's more. The implementation of the parking meter project will resume next week Monday. Despite condemnation on social media and protests at City Hall, Georgetown will continue forth, but with the amendments to the bylaws. Mayor of Georgetown, Patricia Chase Green, clarified what exactly the re-implementation of the project would entail.
The amended bylaws are presently being drafted, and that will be taken to council. In the interim, as we quite clearly says, why the bylaws give providers for us to clamp and move away at the present rates, and so that will not be happening. There will be no clamping and towing away presently.
The harsher aspects of the project have been temporarily rescinded for 6 months. For the sake of parking fees, Smart City Solutions has now categorized motorists in Georgetown into 2 different segments: shoppers who use short-term parking and workers within the city who utilize longer-term parking. The price remains $200 an hour up to 4 hours. After 4 hours, the price remains $800 and up until 8 hours. After 8 hours, the price becomes $25 for every 15 additional minutes. Additionally, SCS will continue to accept applications for monthly parking permits from residents, businesses, and hire car drivers. City Hall is determined to continue forth with the parking meter contract with Smart City Solutions. Mayor Chase Green believes the project could only have positive outcomes for the future planning and development of the city.
So it cannot be business as usual, where people park from 6 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the afternoon on our city streets and want to pay us nothing. The only thing the city has to offer is space, land on our city streets, our open spaces. And we have to make as much as possible to ensure that we can manage a city at the rate the city is to be developed, when we only have narrow revenue bases of taxes. I have to pay for garbage. It costs the city at least $1 million to clear the commercial areas once a week. And in some cases, when we are forced to have the contractor clear twice and thrice a week, it costs us more. Our revenue base still remains the same. And so we have to look at areas, and we hope that every single Guyanese citizen will cooperate with us and not be confrontational.
Town Clerk Royston King supports the mayor's assertion.
The economics is important, but we are also talking about order in the city to decongest what is happening in the city. We're talking about environmental benefits. We're talking about making our roads safer. So we're talking about the security aspect as well. So it's not only economics. We're talking about environment. We're talking about law and order. We're talking about health, and we're talking about safety as well.
City Hall and Smart City Solutions hope that the amendments to the contract will help make the concept of metered parking in Georgetown more palatable for residents of the city. Only time will tell whether or not it will be effective. Cabinet has approved a $5 billion program to develop low-cost housing for the public sector employees, youth, and low-income earners of Guyana. Andrew Weeks reports that Cabinet Secretary and Minister of State Joseph Harmon made the announcement on Friday at his post-cabinet media briefing.
Well, the application process would be the same as those persons would apply for house lots and housing before. So there are, I believe, over 25,000 applications that have been in the ministry and the Ministry of Communities, the Housing Department, for many years. They've been able to do some sorting, and I believe close to 1,500 and something they've sort of narrowed down as being the persons who might benefit from this first initiative.
Cabinet Secretary Joseph Harmon. Harmon said Minister of Communities Ronald Bulkan has given its approval for the construction of some 758 housing units in Regions 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 10. The units are expected to attract a cost of $5.4 million each. In terms of repaying the arrangements for the units, inclusive of monthly costs, the minister could not say, but went on to state that the construction will attract hundreds of employment.
Should encourage the purchase of material that's made in Guyana so that it can actually generate employment activity in the forestry sector and in some other sectors that have gone a little dormant over time. So our first priority will be to create an environment and create an atmosphere where local contractors will have the first say and local material in the construction of these homes.
The project is expected to start almost immediately, and it is anticipated that within 12 months it will be completed. Last January, Housing Minister Valerie Patterson had stated that plans are afoot to jumpstart the process. CHNPA will commence an exhibition process as a pilot program for townhouses, duplexes, and condominiums that were listed by Minister Patterson. Andrew Weeks, Channel 2, Headline News.
Thanks, Andrew. Coming up on Headline News after the break, St. Vincent Prime Minister calls for restructuring of West Indies Cricket Board, and CARICOM heads continue to call for reparations.
Sometimes there's just too much information to keep up with when you're pregnant. What you should and should not eat, what kind of exercise is right for you, how to handle mood changes, even how to determine when it's time for delivery.
Don't let your pregnancy be a burden. Watch The Baby Story on Safe TV Channel 2 every weekday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Now you can know all you need to know from conception to delivery when you watch The Baby Story on Safe TV Channel 2.
Need a ride around town and beyond? Look no further than Oasis Ride Taxi Service. With affordable prices and some of the best drivers in the business, we've been delivering prompt and reliable service to Guyana for over 16 years. We also offer tours, chauffeur service, and even car rentals. You can call us at 231-5554 or 225-5496. For deals, specials, and more information, find our page on Facebook. Oasis Ride Taxi Service. Let's go.
We're mashing up Guyana with our savings. I mean, we mashing and we slashing prices on everything. Sandals and shoes up to 70% off. Short pants, tops, half off. You don't want to miss it. And for the handsome guys out there, 50% off on all sneakers. We have Reebok, Nike, Supra, you name it, we got it. Short pants, jeans, jerseys, all prices mashed way, way down. So remember, mashing down the place here at Clarence with our big sale. Mashing, slashing prices. You don't want to miss it. Clarence, always keeping you in style.
Seems like people will try just about anything to lose weight these days. But nothing works better than proper dieting and exercise. So if you're guilty of eating the wrong foods, not finding time to exercise, or can't afford a gym, join Safe TV Channel 2 for Body and Spirit. Aerobics workout with Dick Nunez.
Hello, I'm Dick Nunez. Welcome to Body and Spirit Aerobics.
Weekday mornings from 7 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. Don't hesitate. Act now, because your greatest wealth is your health.
This place is really hot. What's wrong with your AC?
It's not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you had a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
Having trouble at home or at the office? Then call the professionals at Action Cool. Our fully trained technical team have the skills and experience in repairs of all air-conditioned units, refrigerators, gas stoves, washing machines, and a whole lot more. For further information, visit us at 86 Hill and Princess Street, Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, or call us on telephone number 225-7867.
Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, believes that the West Indies Cricket Board must undergo restructuring. Cricket is arguably the favorite sport of Commonwealth nations. Beyond that, the game has brought international acclaim for many Caribbean sportsmen throughout the decades. Unfortunately, that legacy of cricket excellence in the Caribbean may be in jeopardy following recent scandals coming from the West Indies Cricket Board and the West Indies team itself. Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, spoke of this during this year's meeting of the heads of CARICOM states.
We have to really push for the restructuring of the continued restructuring of West Indies cricket to enhance its democratization and to make sure that it is sufficiently reflective of the public.
Days ago, CARICOM Secretary General Ambassador Erwin Larocque has stated that the indiscretions of the West Indies Cricket Board are still on the radar of the regional body. Likewise, Dr. Gonzalez felt that though the WICB is a private institution, the hope that discussions at this conference can help derive a plan of action to deal with those indiscretions.
This is a public good, that is cricket, which is being run by a private entity. Now, these are matters which have been litigated in India, and certain conclusions have been arrived at. And we have to address this with greater urgency, and I'm hoping that sometime during this meeting that we could we can get some discussion on this, further discussion, because we talk about it a lot.
In July of 2016, CARICOM reaffirmed its resolve to dissolve the West Indies Cricket Board and said it would soon create another prime ministerial subcommittee that would have a wider say on cricket in the Caribbean. Additionally, the constant spats between players and the board, as well as disappointing on-field performance, beckons more urgency to the issue. Is breaking up the West Indies Cricket Board a serious consideration, or will it just remain as talk? It is hoped that this week's CARICOM conference will give us the answers. President David Granger on Friday received a handcrafted wooden plaque from the Prime Minister of Barbados, the Right Honorable Frendel Stewart. He received it as a thank you gift for attending that country's 50th independence anniversary celebration in November of last year. The Barbadian Prime Minister explains the images on the handcraft to President Granger.
Excellent pieces done, capturing a took line with Kettle Drum and Donkey Man and Mother Sally and so on. So I just thought that given your Barbadian ancestry, that I would make this presentation to you, and of course say thanks to you for supporting the 50th anniversary of our independence. So over to you, Mr. President. You have Barbados in Georgetown.
Barbados been in Georgetown 72 years ago. Thank you very much. Well, on behalf of the government of Guyana, I'd like to thank Prime Minister Stewart and to express our gratitude for this gift.
But there were more gifts from the Barbadian Prime Minister, including an album depicting President Granger's visit to Barbados during the 50th Independence Day anniversary celebration.
Before you leave, Mr. President, the Prime Minister, in the event that Guyanese were not sure that you were in Barbados last November, I just thought it would bring some evidence that you were there. Okay. An album of your presence, Sir Gary Sobers.
President Granger, in exchange, presented a gift to the Barbadian Prime Minister on the behalf of Guyana. The First Lady of Guyana was also not left out. A gift was given to the First Lady by Foreign Affairs Minister of Barbados.
Well, I think it is, again, part of our cultural renditions. It's called Sailor's Valentine. It's made of shells, local shells, so you could always capture a photograph and send it back to us. But I think that your visit would have been made even more special because she accompanied you on that occasion, and this hopefully will help you to remember not only your visit, but of course, as you heard, your Beja roots.
The bond. Thank you very much. I'll see you when you all let me go tonight. Okay. This is a quiet gift. In the event that you have any cough or cold, this is Guyanese cough and cold service. It's a big girl in there. It's not. She's not secondary school. She's
university.
Postgraduate. Postgraduate.
Press okay?
So thank you very much for these two tokens.
On November 30th of last year, President Granger and First Lady Mrs. Sandra Granger joined with the government and people of Barbados in celebration of their 50th anniversary of independence. Additionally, as a gift to Barbados, ranks of the Guyana Defense Force pulled off a magnificent firework display in commemoration of the historical event. Still ahead, our regional news, international news, and this week's edition of Beautiful Guyana.
Sometimes there's just too much information to keep up with when you're pregnant. What you should and should not eat, what kind of exercise is right for you, how to handle mood changes, even how to determine when it's time for delivery.
Don't let your pregnancy be a burden. Watch The Baby Story on Safe TV Channel 2 every weekday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. Now you can know all you need to know from conception to delivery when you watch The Baby Story on Safe TV Channel 2.
Need a ride around town and beyond? Look no further than Oasis Ride Taxi Service. With affordable prices and some of the best drivers in the business, we've been delivering prompt and reliable service to Guyana for over 16 years. We also offer tours, chauffeur service, and even car rentals. You can call us at 231-5554 or 225-5496. For deals, specials, and more information, find our page on Facebook. Oasis Ride Taxi Service. Let's go.
We're mashing up Guyana with our savings. I mean, we mashing and we slashing prices on everything. Sandals and shoes up to 70% off. Short pants, tops, half off. You don't want to miss it. And for the handsome guys out there, 50% off on all sneakers. We have Reebok, Nike, Supra, you name it, we got it. Short pants, jeans, jerseys, all prices mashed way, way down. So remember, mashing down the place here at Clarence with our big sale. Mashing, slashing prices. You don't want to miss it. Clarence, always keeping you in style.
Seems like people will try just about anything to lose weight these days. But nothing works better than proper dieting and exercise. So if you're guilty of eating the wrong foods, not finding time to exercise, or can't afford a gym, join Safe TV Channel 2 for Body and Spirit. Aerobics workout with Dick Nunez.
Hello, I'm Dick Nunez. Welcome to Body and Spirit Aerobics.
Weekday mornings from 7 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. Don't hesitate. Act now, because your greatest wealth is your health.
This place is really hot. What's wrong with your AC?
It's not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's for dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you had a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
Having trouble at home or at the office? Then call the professionals at Action Cool. Our fully trained technical team have the skills and experience in repairs of all air-conditioned units, refrigerators, gas stoves, washing machines, and a whole lot more. For further information, visit us at 86 Hill and Princess Street, Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, or call us on telephone number 225-7867.
In news from the region now, Prime Minister Alan Chastanet says his government has not pursued funding from the Bolivarian Alliance for the Peoples of Our America, or ALBA, from crisis-stricken Venezuela. Chastanet says his position on relations with Venezuela is well documented and radically different from former administrations. HTS News Force reports.
When it comes to financing for development, Prime Minister and Minister for Finance Alan Chastanet says he's pursuing funding through a new model of diplomacy and foreign relations. The approach will see less of the Latin American Caribbean Alliance ALBA and its energy cooperation initiative Petrocaribe. The Prime Minister is setting his sights elsewhere.
Our government has a very different position, and we have basically not pursued securing any funding from ALBA or through Venezuela. We continue to have a respectful relationship. There are many countries in our region that have a very close relationship with ALBA and also with Venezuela. and out of respect for them, St. Lucia just doesn't make any comments. But clearly, we're looking to develop other relationships, and that's what we're focusing on.
St. Lucia became a full-fledged member of ALBA in August 2013, hoping to help reduce fiscal imbalance and ensure energy security. Recent times have, however, brought headlines from Venezuela that focused less on the oil-rich nation's alliances and social programs and more on issues such as severe food and supply shortages and hyperinflation. Crime has also taken a serious toll on the country, a scourge the Prime Minister says is spilling over to St. Lucia.
My biggest concern is that the increase in the number of drug trafficking cases and also arms coming into our country, and Venezuela has been a big source of that. Now, some people would suggest that the problems in Venezuela are creating that. Right now, my government's position on Venezuela and with ALBA is that while we're not active members, we are not active participants with those entities, and we are looking to develop relationships with other regions and other countries in the world.
The St. Lucia Labour Party's Dr. Ernest Hilaire told HDS News Force on Wednesday that he was expecting an official position on St. Lucia-Venezuela relations based on Chasney's past criticisms.
You would recall when the present government was in opposition, they were very critical of ALBA, they were very critical of our relationship with Venezuela and other Southern American countries, and now it is a government, and to be consistent, one would have expected that they would have withdrawn and that they would have ceased all relationships.
ALBA was formed in 2004 with an emphasis on poverty eradication and the fight against social exclusion. All independent member states of the OECS are members of the regional mechanism.
And internationally, Tony Blair has said it is his mission to persuade Britons to rise up and change their minds on Brexit. Speaking in the City of London, the former Prime Minister claimed that people voted in the referendum without knowledge of the true terms of Brexit. He urged a way out from the present rush over the cliff's edge. BBC News has more.
I want to be explicit. Yes, the British people voted to leave Europe, and I agree the will of the people should prevail. I accept right now there is no widespread appetite to rethink. But the people voted without knowledge of the terms of Brexit. As these terms become clear, it is their right to change their mind. Our mission is to persuade them to do so. What was unfortunately only dim in our sight before the referendum is now in plain sight. The road we're going down is not simply hard Brexit. It is now Brexit at any cost. Our challenge is to expose relentlessly what that cost is, to show how the decision was based on imperfect knowledge, which will now become informed knowledge, to calculate in easy-to-understand ways how proceeding will cause real damage to our country, and to build support for finding a way out from the present rush over the cliff's edge. I don't know if we can succeed, but I do know we will suffer a rancorous verdict from future generations if we don't try. They will say leaving is inevitable. It isn't. They will say we don't represent the people. We do. Many millions of them, and with determination, many millions more. They will claim we're dividing the country by making the claim and the case. It is they who divide our country. Generation from generation, north from south, Scotland from England. Those born here from those who came to our country precisely because of what they thought it stood for and what they admired. So, this is not the time for retreat, indifference, or despair, but the time to rise up in defense of what we believe.
On this week's installment of Beautiful Guyana, we will take you on a bird's eye view of the Demerara River and the Demerara Harbor Bridge at sunrise and sunset. Take a look. And that's Channel 2 Headline News for this Friday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to find Channel 2 Headline News on Facebook, YouTube, and SafeTVGuyana.com. You can also tune in 6:30 Sunday morning for a rebroadcast, and Monday evening at 7 o'clock for more news. For now, I'm George Gonzalez, signing out from this newscast. Thank you for welcoming us into your homes, and do have a blessed evening.